Welcome back to the Spot the Ball podcast. It's your host, Ron Wells, with your boy,
Willie Love the Third. And Ron, don't I look official today, man? Yeah. I got my first actual teacher shirt, bro.
Look at you.
I'm officially a teacher, dog. Pie. Pie is good.
Well, if it was Pie Day, then I would understand. That's March 14th.
I double back.
You'll double back.
Matter of fact, let me look at my calendar. What day is March 14th? So we can do the podcast on Pie Day just so I can double back. So March 14th is it's a Tuesday on our normally scheduled day. So we all good.
We all good. And long and short, we welcome you back to the program Spot the Ball podcast. Guys, we are in the final throes of the NFL and college football season. So we're going to recap the entire season with a conference by conference look back on college football, as well as who are the biggest surprises of the NFL season, who we expected to get into the playoffs, who may be getting into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And we'll also, just go ahead and give you our pick and preview for college football, the final that's coming up next week, Monday, I believe.
We won't give you a parlay this week solely because it's week 18. A lot of players and teams are resting players. And so we're not going to give you bet on this team and bet on this team because come Saturday, you know what? Such and such ain't playing. Such and such ain't playing. Ooh. And then you look at us like, y'all messed us up. So we recap the original parlay, but we're not giving you one this week.
So we're going to kick right in. So we're going to talk first about the Pac-12. Who was your surprise of the Pac-12? Who you think was the surprise of the Pac-12?
My surprise of the Pac-12, I got to go Utah. And it's not a good surprise. It's a bad surprise. Why? Because I expected so much more out of Utah. I didn't necessarily get what we said we thought they would be in the beginning of our tenure. Like when we first started, when we first got going, we seen that Utah not working off twice last year. Ride momentum. Cristobal left out of Oregon. So maybe it's Utah's conference to take over.
Well, they took it over. But here's my thing. Right?
I don't know.
It's perception. Mm-hmm. And I was going through this as we talk about these surprises and things like that. Mm-hmm. I was going through this in another conversation I was having with my FSU group. It's all about perception and how you view your season, right?
Okay.
So Utah loses to UF and has another loss down the road to Oregon, right? No Cristobal, they lose to Oregon. Disappointing, right? Mm-hmm. But they still accomplished one of the goals that we set out. If they don't lose to UF, winning the Pac-12 title game, beating USC twice, which was the media darling and the Heisman Trophy winner on their side of the fence, they're in the playoff. You do realize this, right? That would be one loss.
Yeah, but remember they said that UCLA lost as well.
I thought they beat UCLA. No, so they lost. Okay, but even still, you think that they had a playoff resume. They're a top 10 team heading into this.
Reason I was saying that solely because USC had. Even though USC kind of gave you heart attacks or what they did per se, you know what I mean? Like when the game types on that's worse, but scares. I was say they gave us a lot of scares when we thought, okay, maybe USC's turning the corner. Nah, they not. Maybe they're doing this. Nah, they're not. Even though they posted an 8-1 record at conference, they still had 2 other losses out of conference. All right, I don't know. And so I thought I would get a top 2 finish from Utah.
I get where you're coming from. It's still the Pac-12. They ain't even shown up to the party yet.
They're supposed to dominate it at that point. If nobody show up, I want Utah to dominate.
I'm talking about collectively as a conference. They still have never showed up.
It's always the lesser of the Power 5. Like Pac-5 was like the little cousins, not even little brothers.
They the little cousins. They ready to hit a stepchild.
Distant cousins, distant family. You don't really talk much about them.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you. For me, and it's the surprise of the Pac-12 for me was not so much how they showed up, but how they finished. Oregon, this is in a bad way for me. Oregon blew it. After you picked up all that momentum, they blew it. And I struggle with this because you let a year one USC get there to the Pac-12 title game, and you didn't because you pooped the bed, peed down your leg versus Oregon State. Now, I'm not saying Oregon State's a bad team, but Oregon State looks a whole lot better because they beat up on UF, a 6-win UF, as opposed to
nobody that kick a field goal, just keep the streak going.
Exactly. Yeah. Versus who else did Oregon State beat? And when you go look at their schedule, they ain't beat nobody. Meanwhile, Oregon has beaten teams, beat UCLA, the brakes off of UCLA. I mean, they had everything in front of them, and they peed down their leg. Oregon reminded me this year, and I hate to say it when we get to the ACC side of things, but they reminded me of Clemson. Everything in front of you, and then you pee down your leg. On the good side of things, USC did surprise me, but it's only perception. They had 3 losses, people. And granted, the 3rd loss happens in a bowl game, but it's a bad loss for you because you got the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback versus a G5 team that won 2 games last year. Granted, congrats to Tulane because we ain't doing G5. Tulane is the biggest surprise of the G5, and it's not even close.
I want to say it's probably the biggest surprise of bowl season.
Period.
Something like that. Biggest surprise of bowl.
Because I thought that bowl game was never going to be competitive. I thought USC had the least competitive matchup in the New Year's Six, and it was actually the most competitive matchup in the New Year's Six. Every flaw that USC had that I said preseason, which was they don't have a defense, their offensive line is makeshift, but it's better than last year. Everything came out. And for me with USC, if USC reminded me of Florida State season this year. Same thing. I had them in the same boat winning 8 games, 8-4, something like that. They ended up winning 11 games, going 11-3. Florida State went 10-3. But Florida State loses 3 games in a row and essentially takes it out of everybody else's mind. Meanwhile, USC loses to the same team twice in Utah and then loses to Tulane. And it's all the way you got your losses. It's 3 losses is 3 losses. And the margin of loss for USC versus Utah and Tulane is more than the margin of loss for Florida State versus Clemson, NC State, and Wake Forest. It's just all on how you get your losses. But USC still finishes, it feels like on a low note, because the way those interviews happen at the end, you got Lincoln Riley basically giving reporters 3 questions. You got your Heisman Trophy winning quarterback not looking presidential, basically sitting like this his whole interview. And it's just, and he's coming back next year because he's a sophomore.
Right.
But that right there was a good and it was an uneven surprise for me when it came to USC. Oregon had it all in front of them. I bought into Utah predominantly the way you bought into Baylor for me, which was
that's the transition. We go into the Big
12. So Baylor for me was the bad surprise of the Big 12 because I felt like they had everything in front of them, brand new quarterback, and they lost a lot throughout this season. Baylor not only lost on the field with 4 losses by a total of like 30 points, they also lost on the trail too. They lost their best quarterback, and their quarterback in the class. He decommitted from them and went to Oregon. So it's like they lost all the way around. Now the good surprise, of course, is who's in the final, and that's TCU. We both had TCU around 8 wins with Sonny Dykes, and if you say the transfer portal don't work,
it worked.
Or it's not sustainable,
it's sustainable.
Because
sustained,
bro. TCU, best surprise of college football all season long, along with Tulane, but even more so for me because first-year head coach Sonny Dykes, they lost a top 2 running back from their class last year. He transferred to Ole Miss and missed out on this type of ride, and now he's going into the NFL draft. And yeah, they did it with, 7 transfers on offense, 4 transfers on, 7 transfers on defense, 4 transfers on offense. Yep, a backup quarterback because he didn't start the season. Max Duggan is highly talented. Don't get it twisted, 5-star quarterback. But he hadn't done anything of note until he was benched at the start of this season and then came in for an injured quarterback and walked all the way almost to the Heisman Trophy. So TCU for me.
No, it's TCU for both of us. It's the biggest surprise. I mean, at a point of time, it was Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
At a point of time, it was Kansas, how they started running the table. The Dookies, baby.
Yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah, we put that on the pod, right?
Man.
Game day went down a home run.
Listen, bro, it was like that kind of season, and then it just kind of like, okay, we got rid of Kansas again. So it was hype for the good first half.
Yeah, but they retained their head coach. He was going to go to Wisconsin. He doesn't go. Lance Leopold. That was a great surprise, even still, with Kansas. Big 12 was kind of full of surprises because we really thought Brent Venables' first year would go a whole lot smoother. Granted, they had a great showing against Florida State in the bowl game.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
But he couldn't sustain a lot of stuff in season. But there, like I said, the reason why I picked Baylor over Oklahoma for my bad surprise is because Oklahoma's killing it on the trail. Like they usually do. Like they ain't missed a beat.
Yeah.
And you can tell the buy-in from Brent Venables. Dave Aranda had the buy-in last year, but when you don't land the kid who you had, or the young man who you had in your class, your bell cow, and now he's gone. I mean, he's a top 30 player in the nation. You lost that. And, hey, got to bounce back.
So, yeah, now next we can go to the Big Ten. I'll probably say, because my biggest surprise, the East is the East. We know what the East do year in, year out. So you can't really I don't have a surprise there. I probably would say Purdue would probably be the biggest surprise in the Big Ten. So because of, like, we don't really talk about Purdue. Like, Purdue is one of them consistent middle of the pack teams in that conference, flirt with 500.
But they lost their coach.
They did. But, like I say, this time.
And a quarterback.
They had some. And this year they had some tough wins, some gritty wins, some surprising wins, and then to make it to the conference championship and, face a Michigan team where we kind of knew what the outcome was, didn't want to buy into the hype. Oh, Purdue this, Purdue that.
Yeah.
That'd probably be my biggest surprise. Like I said, Michigan, Ohio State, we know what they do.
Oh, no doubt. That's
Penn State, we know what they do.
I'm so glad, though, this conference, like the ACC, is getting rid of the
alignment,
the divisions, because we know what it should be. It should be Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. My biggest surprise in the Big Ten, though, is Illinois, because I didn't expect them to win but like 3 games. I'm sorry, that roster didn't seem as well. Seemed like it was explosive. Heck, they lost they bet most explosive player, which was Deuce Spann. He's backing up at receiver at Florida State. I was really genuinely surprised by how well that defense played. They have a quarterback that's going to go in the first 2 rounds of the draft. Big ups for Illinois for just the toughness and like, you know what, Bielema got them rolling, bro. And it's nothing much you can say. Like winning Coach of the Year in that conference, he deserved it. Even though some people don't think he did, I think he did. So
okay, so I mean now we can transition to the SEC, and because like Pac-12, Big Ten, Big 12, so the SEC, and then lastly the ACC.
All right.
So you give me your. I mean, I think we're going to agree.
12, so go ahead.
I think we're going to agree with where our surprise is because we were high on them for a long time. Tennessee was a big surprise to me in the SEC. Well, and I see now it might be different for you, but Tennessee for me, just from the matches, the schedule they had, and how they ran it. Granted, they took the L to Georgia, then it kind of sputtered when Hendon Hooker went out to lost in South Carolina. Cool, but beforehand, just the run that they went on and how great Hendon Hooker played, and Hyatt, it was like, like Tennessee's always been like, okay, they one of the programs that they can make noise in that conference. It's just can they make the noise consistently? And I don't know if this is going to be a consistent thing going forward because you're going to lose Hendon Hooker, and I want Joe Milton.
Well, Joe Milton's calling me, so I'm on the
listen. That pass that man threw effortlessly 60 yards with a flick of the wrist. Like
he has starts though. Like, okay, we both had Tennessee with like 9 wins. We thought they would be strong. We didn't think they would be this strong. And again, it comes with perception. Like you said, they sputtered at the end of the year, so the perception is not necessarily there. But Tennessee was always deeper in our eyes in the beginning of the season because we both had them like 3-4 losses, but people had them maybe with 3-4 wins. Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton are very similar quarterbacks. Very similar in age, the whole 9. They're best friends. They've been well documented how it was on the sideline, yada, yada, yada. Joe Milton is coming back next year. He has a big arm. You saw it on display versus Clemson in the bowl game, and he can run too. Yeah. But that's the best surprise of the conference. We agree there.
Okay, cool.
We agree there because we both knew about Georgia. We both pulled Bama back because we didn't like the middle of their defense. We both said on numerous occasions it's Georgia's conference to win. We were high on Brian Kelly, so Brian Kelly winning 10 games in his first season at LSU, not a big deal for us.
I'm looking at it because it's like I ain't never noticed this, but with Bama being 5, just by I guess whatever the tiebreakers go, Bama was at 15 in that maybe potentially could have got in, and still was second in their side.
It's because LSU blew that game at A&M. Had LSU not blown that game at A&M, it would look a whole lot different. Because at that point in time, remember, had they won against A&M,
no, it's like you said, it's when you lost, it's when you lose. I would say it's when you lose. Even wrong, it was just like
that's why the standings look that way.
That's like dang, but like no, it's 6 and they both had 6 and 2, and so I'm assuming maybe because common wins.
LSU's losses are Tennessee and A&M. They had no more SEC losses.
Right.
So they had positioned themselves, had they not lost to A&M, if you recall, to go against Georgia. And if Georgia, they were making these scenarios where you were going to get 2 SEC teams in. And it was going to be LSU and Georgia if LSU beat Georgia in the SEC title game. And that's how you're going to get your
because also reason why, remember, LSU did beat Bama.
Yeah, LSU beat Bama.
That's when
LSU lost to
A&M. This is when they lost. The tiebreak, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, that's tough. But again, they lost to A&M. They just, Dante Lucas, just into the portal not too long ago, a couple days ago.
Gotcha.
So, they 5-star D tackle.
Yeah, I just saw that.
We'll see where he goes. Texas A&M still losing. So,
Man,
ACC.
That's the 20th person that they lost in the portal.
It's tough over there. They did get your boy, though. Sam McCall. They did get your boy.
FSU handled that so beautifully. I don't even want to talk about it. Boy, oh boy.
Go your biggest surprise, ACC.
No. My bad surprise though is not something that everybody ain't already talked about. That's A&M.
That's right, the SEC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A&M. What was their record again?
When you want to go back there?
Yeah. What was A&M's record again? I just want you to understand.
A&M's record was 5-7.
Most people had A&M in the playoff. I just want y'all to remember that preseason, people's pick for the SEC was Jimbo Fisher's 5th year in the SEC to win the SEC West. Because they saw what we saw with Bama up the middle. And I was like, y'all crazy. And y'all was crazy. I said LSU would have a better record, and LSU had a better record. Plain and simple, y'all was nuts. Outright. And now, from a class that you had 29 players, the best class of all time, A&M has lost 9 players from that class. No, 10. My bad. 10 players from that class, 10 other overall transfers, and round out 20 transfers from their team. Yeah. And your answer is a DB who can get on the field at Florida State when we need a corner. That's your answer.
He might find, you feel me, what he need in Texas. I don't know, man. Sometimes changing the scenery is okay.
Yeah, hopefully for him.
Sometimes change
So hopefully for him. Because, man, I tell you, boy, oh boy, he could not get on the field to say
hey, man, there's too many boys going out. So he might just find him a way on.
You saw FSU corners, right?
Trying to find my way back. That's that Jaheim.
Bro. All right, so we done with the SEC.
Now we talk our stumping grounds.
All right, so
ACC, you gonna lead this one? Your biggest surprise?
Shoot, biggest surprise was UNC. I didn't think UNC would win through more than like 4 or 5 games. I'm not gonna lie. Even though UNC ended with disappointing season per se because they lost the last 3 games. UNC for me was not expected to be this highly rated.
4 actually.
They lost their last 4. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Wow. They lost their last 4, but I had them winning 4 games.
So, I thought just coming in, just based off the coastal side. I always view UNC highly.
But here's the thing: they lost Sam McCall.
Sam McCall? That's your boy.
I'm not Sam McCall. Sam Howell.
Yeah.
They lost Sam Howell to the NFL draft, who I thought should have stayed one more year at North Carolina.
I just like I said, just being on that side, I look at him a little different. Because I know it's
that's your side.
It's a tough matchup. They done gave y'all a couple battles from the last couple years, and again, that's all in the rebuild year. So we'll see how that goes with them and y'all going forward, especially with y'all being on the end of y'all rebuild.
I just didn't have them win. So, they 9-4.
9-5. 9-5. But I always viewed them as a tough team. It was always.
You do realize they were undefeated for a good little bit.
They were. They was
Heisman Trophy went on contender.
That's what I'm saying. I always battle. If you North Carolina, that's something that you have to go through for that top spot. And then they went to the conference championship, so you do got to go through them now. That because them sides is gone, but they always view that. Me again, just like how it was with Kansas. It was Duke. The boys started off hot.
Yeah,
and we don't see that for
and they ended hot too. Unlike Kansas, where Kansas kind of fell off.
They went 9-4. If they finished 9-4, Duke did 9-4.
Yeah, Duke didn't. Duke went 9-4, and they beat the brakes off their goal win. They won a game that they weren't supposed to win. And they got the coach of the year for a reason. Like all around coach of the year. Mike Elko, congratulations on that. Yeah, man.
First year.
My bad surprise.
Don't go there. That's my bad surprise. All you gonna talk about? They don't deserve to talk right about that. We just gonna go in the say, look, bad surprise. That's all we're gonna say. I ain't talking about them. Anyway, we know that was bad. We here. We've been here all year, so that's been enough talk.
It must be talking about.
Must not give Duke the shine. It's Duke segment. It's the Dukies, baby. It's Duke segment. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about them. Right now, we win it. We win it on the trail. That's all that matters. The season is done. It's a wrap. Finito. It's done. It's done. Bad surprise. Miami. Cristobal, high expectations. Everybody said 10 wins. We almost got 10 losses. Don't want to talk about Miami. Close to going 3-10, bro. Yeah. Real close.
But there's no more coastal, so we good there. One thing I can say, and we'll say it again because they said it last week, was Miami retained most of their class. Really good look. Whereas not a good look is, did you see Kamani yesterday?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, that's so bad.
I tell everybody. I said, look, man.
That's some bad press.
I tell everybody.
Every time I touch a mic or a Twitter, it's messing y'all up.
I don't look into it. If he gonna come, he gonna come. If he gonna go elsewhere, he can go elsewhere. Listen, I'm 25.
I get it.
So I'm not going. You feel me? I don't.
I get
my
it.
brother all the time. You see when according this is what they got according to this, that Bluestein saying this, Navarro saying this, whatever. I said no, I don't. I didn't. He said if he gonna sign January 15th, then we gonna see.
How he gonna sign January 15th?
He's like this. I think it's that financial aid letter or something that you gonna sign or something like that. So he said he signed on the 15th, but like I said, if he comes,
signed a lot of those.
Then listen, if he comes, he coming. He said he signed himself.
For 8 schools when I was coming out of high school.
Listen, I don't know what this man gonna do. But again, I'm not stressing over it. You do what you do. It's looking like I said, I told myself it's looking like a Travis Hunter situation.
Oh no, it's worse.
That's what it's looking like. But
Travis Hunter was one.
They supposed to have some like contract to where he's supposed to really talk to one person, documentary type stuff. So I don't know if he's tired of answering questions or this, that, and the third, and just awkward stuff. I don't know. I'm not looking to it. I don't care. If he comes, he comes. He don't. Again, yes, that's the number. Like in my opinion, the number one person in this class. Mm-hmm. I get it, but that doesn't take away from everything else that you got in this class that you have to go there. So I'm not gonna say that this person is better, what have you, but just to even add that experience in Devontae Brown, I feel like that's a huge plus. So if Kamani was supposed to be a corner that plays day one, you have a staple of corners coming in, and you have experience that played against Power 5, and that did pretty well against Power 5 to come in and compete for the outside job. So I'm not necessarily hurt. It's just this class. So I'm not tripping on it.
Okay. My only thing is, and you brought up the Sam McCall situation with Florida State. Mm-hmm. You brought up the Travis Hunter thing. How Florida State was steamrolled coming out of last year with the Travis Hunter situation and basically being the butt of everyone's joke.
Because he just that was when
you're
not seeing nobody go commit HBCUs like that.
It's not even that. It's just the last taste in your mouth is the last taste in your mouth, and you're having similar spells to how you're handling situations, like FSU did last year. The difference is that you're not bringing in right now at the moment, not bringing in enough ready-made talent to spit. And you're in year 1 off season, year 2 off season, not year 3 like Florida State was, or 2.5 because COVID year was crazy. But this year, how Florida State handled a 5-star basically transferring is he went out in the dead of the night. You had one of the biggest hires, Hugh Freeze, get hired while he was being released from the team. And without a blink, Sam McCall, shoot, if we ain't say it on this podcast, nobody ain't said it elsewhere, going to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And it's all in how the perception is. All you hear is, man, Florida State just beat OU. Man, Florida State just finally made a bowl game after 2 seasons. Man, Florida State landed this transfer and that transfer and whatever. It's a different type of momentum. And those things that you're talking about, like we're talking about this class, I have a real strong belief that I've held on to for a very long time that this class is not for next year. It's for 2-3 years.
And I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But like I told you, I'm not looking for Miami just to turn the table.
You get one deodorant year.
I'm not looking for them. Like they went 5-7. I'm not saying they're finna go 11-2, 12-1 next year.
No, we
I'm not saying that.
We just go on surprises.
So that's why I'm not having those kind of expectations on this class to come in and help Miami do that. I'm not looking for that.
We'll do it.
No, that's what I'm like. If he comes,
film study.
that's what I'm saying. If he comes, he comes. You feel me? Because
I don't even think he's that impactful.
Yeah, but even still,
corners aren't that impactful.
Him coming this year is not gonna make Miami that championship team.
No, God no. So it's not even about that.
So that's why to me,
it's the perception of what the cycle. That means something.
It's some kids though that you have that kind of.
No, it's a social media age.
That's what I'm saying. You have that. You feel me? So it's like, I feel like Miami as a program is handling it with class. You won't see them saying too much. It's just, all right, he's doing that. It is what it is. Crystal ball, DVD. Y'all just keep doing work. And if he chooses y'all,
we another thing is too. He on our hot list.
Who that? Who that?
DVD is on the hot list for Florida State's DB coach.
Listen. You think DVD finna? Oh, well, crazy things happen, but I don't think DVD would.
Hey, look. What I was getting at is that one, like when Travis Hunter decommitted, I didn't think on the field it was a big deal. I really didn't. He's a freshman at corner, one of the hardest positions to transition from. Corner, defensive tackle, very, very, very hard to transition in college. Just really, really hard on the defensive side of the ball. Really hard to make an impact as a freshman. You saw him be burnt toast once he faced the MEAC. So it's not really about the impact on the field. It's a perception off the field. Travis Hunter and now Kamani McLean, as a close second, as far as social media is concerned, those people who are making decisions for 24, 25, and 26, those young men, they are on that. Mm-hmm. They are seeing this, and this is affecting their decision making. Got a good friend of mine, his son just committed to Michigan just to stay away from all that mess. And again, their DB coach is on Florida State's hot board. Florida State's DB coach got hired by Arkansas. Good luck to Charles Woodson. His contract was running out anyway, but anywho, good luck to Charles Woodson. It's not Charles Woodson. Marcus Woodson. Good luck to him on future endeavors. He got co-defensive coordinator title as well at Arkansas. They needed him. He was, decent while he was here. Of course, he had Travis Hunter debacle where he lost him as a recruit, but he also brought in A.Z. Thomas, who was one of our good freshmen this year. He also brought in Sam McCall, who left as well. But at the end of the day, good man all the way around. Good luck to him.
Like I said, McLean I would say, is the only one in this class still on paper.
No. I was surprised they signed everything else.
That's what I'm saying. He's the only one that's like social media wise that is this going on, that this happened. Nobody else in this class have
But nobody,
nothing like that.
No.
So that's what I'm
but nobody in this class has his clout on social
media.
media.
Because I mean, when you're like the number 2 player in the nation,
I mean,
that clout is different.
It is definitely
even still McGowan, you feel me? It's just he's an offensive tackle, so he's not gonna have, I guess, that folklore. Next closest one to it is
the flashy guys are receivers. It could be your corners, or it can be your quarterback.
And I would say the only closest one to it is Hunter. Pancake Hunter, only because this.
But he's an O-line.
That's what I'm saying. But that's
it's a catchy name.
It's only he's close to that, just because of every visit. Man's got pancakes and syrup. You feel me? So
I get
that's the biggest thing. But nobody, like we said, I'm with you. Nobody has that kind of like
cachet
attention right now that he did. And I don't know if anybody on the other class look for that. They feel like this class more so business approach. We coming in to make this program better.
Put it like that. Travis Hunter's appeal so far on social media is so great that his Twitter beef with a Florida State commit went viral on ESPN.
Hakeem and
Hakeem made merch off of it. He said, "I'm solid." He got solid merch now, like and it's sold out. The sweaters and all. Those reach out to him.
Really, the big thing is just to see what Travis does in the Pac-12 this year. So
he's gonna have to play USC. So it is what it is. Those were our surprises as far as college football is concerned.
And we hit that, but we also, before we transition, talk about just the matchup.
Yeah, the matchup of the year is TCU and Georgia.
I was wrong last week. I said Ohio State was going to get blown up by Georgia. Yeah. I'm saying it again this week. TCU's going to get blown up by Georgia.
Okay.
Yo,
I don't know if I can do that. Because we said Michigan and TCU would be close, but nobody else said it.
And remember I told you, I said, I don't think, and we agreed that TCU is the least respected team out of the four. Because it's the 4 team, and we literally just said that last week, like, the least respected team, and they came out and got the dub. We really just said that.
All right.
So we said, not nobody say, but we ain't nowhere yet. We still here.
We picked TCU to cover the 6-point spread. I don't think either one of us picked TCU to win it.
No.
But the fact that they did that in itself was massive.
You know what? I recant. I'll talk about it again. They definitely put an offensive showing there. Georgia just showed me.
What's the spread? Tell me what's the spread.
Georgia just showed me they can't cover. If you got somebody that can tell the receivers, and Georgia didn't tighten up until Harrison went down. We gonna call it what it is.
Yeah.
Harrison went down. It was a different ball game.
But you had to knock him down.
And it was clean. It was clean.
No, it was clean. It was clean. It was a great anticipatory hit. And what makes it so interesting is he had an opportunity to get the interception if he would just know what a bleeding ball was.
I think he's gonna make a hit.
But no, that trajectory of that ball was crazy. It was crazy. Nobody expected that ball to be even close to being caught.
Hey, listen, I recall an argument you had with somebody that said C.J. Stroud was a statue. Oh, boy showed us something different the other night.
Yes. Yes.
I recall the conversation vividly. That statue.
Look, he helped. Okay, C.J. Stroud has always been my second quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Mm-hmm.
He validated that with everyone else around the nation with this stupid Will Levis crap that was out there. Like, Will Levis lost it for me when he couldn't do anything against U.S. bad defense. Granted, Kentucky won the game, but he struggled mightily versus UF. That changed my perspective on just the same week that changed our perspective on Anthony Richardson was the same week that changed my thing on Will Levis.
Anthony Richardson had us on the limbo all year.
No, not all year, for a week. He owed us. We thought we owed him an apology, and the following week we took that thing back so quick.
We definitely apologize on air, bro.
And we recanted though. We came back strong when we recanted. But man, please look. Will Levis for me is your typical, hey, I'm a backup big quarterback. He is not what people just said he was a week ago. C.J. Stroud, if he can continue to build on that, is definitely going to be a really good starter in the league. Like,
yeah, man, I'm talking about this man threw everything on money. Not too much was a miss. when the pressure came in, making them defensive linemen misses. It's like you have not seen a quarterback do this as far as making a linebackers look silly like this in chase and scramble mode. And he's scrambling and finding people on the dime, dropping dimes. I'm like, CJ was amazing. Their receivers, big shout out to I said receivers by challenging that secondary. We haven't seen nobody.
We already talked about.
We haven't seen nobody challenge them like that.
But nobody else has that.
So
nobody else has Brian
respect to them, and I apologize, Hardline. I said what it was going to be. I said Georgia's that dominant blowout, and it was a field goal away. That was a great way to bring in the new year.
Oh my God!
Like as soon as the kick missed, it struck 12 o'clock. Great way to bring in the new year. Sorry for it to be, to you Ohio State fans, but man.
Oh no, it was a great game all the way around. I appreciate it.
It was amazing.
I really do.
It was a great semifinal.
Yeah, for her. Both of them. Michigan TCU was a great semifinal.
Michigan came back and made the game.
Wasn't it like 44 points in one quarter? Some crap like that.
It was.
7 minutes.
We've seen a lot of points, and we haven't seen as many points in semifinals. So
yeah.
I mean, the spread is 12.5.
All right,
I think it went down from 13, but it was 12.5.
Okay.
It was 13, but it's 12.5 now.
I think TCU covers the spread. I do not think they win this game, and for this reason and this reason alone. Georgia had their scare.
And we know how Georgia gets.
And we kind of know how Georgia gets. And then the second thing is, too, what I've seen in this bowl season, defenses that have been really good defenses all year long have struggled off of this break. It hasn't been these defensive coaches have had an opportunity to figure out these offenses. It's been these offensive coaches who've had a chance to figure out these complicated defenses. Like Florida State putting up 30-something points on Brent Venables. Brent Venables putting up 30-something points on Florida State, who had only given up 30-something points twice this year. Like, so, and then you're talking about Michigan, top 5 run defense. Michigan couldn't stop TCU from running the ball. They couldn't stop TCU's short passing game. They couldn't stop TCU hitting big plays. I was on Twitter being very sarcastic to, bigger podcast personalities because they were like, oh, fire this coach because he doesn't have a good defense. But then Michigan, who you thought had a good defense, couldn't stop a nosebleed versus TCU. And Georgia couldn't stop a nosebleed versus Ohio State, who got shut out in the second half for all intents and purposes to Michigan shut out Ohio State. So it's like, I mean, even J.J. McCarthy, even though you felt like you played a bad game, that clown threw for 300 yards.
They got to be a clown.
Because they shouldn't have lost that game, man. His pick sixes are what lost that game.
You got a point, man.
Michigan gave up 37 points on the defense. They gave up the rest of the points on his pick sixes. Like, that's what it boiled down to.
Listen, this man has no sympathy for these boys this week. Our sympathy's going to one thing, and this boy is like, nobody else knows sympathy. That is crazy.
Yeah, so, college football, I think we agree on the Georgia thing. Do you think Georgia wins by more than 2 touchdowns?
I don't know, man.
I mean, that's 2 TDs.
I kind of recant, man. Because
I don't think 2 TDs is a blowout. A blowout would be 3. That's 3 is a pass to stick.
3. Well, we here. We here. 3 is the blowout. But that's what I'm saying, like, bro, because, man, like, I don't want to count them out because, again, Tulane happened. Tulane happened. So am I going to count TCU after I see them put up a 50 burger?
Yeah. And after Georgia almost put up a 50 burger, had a 40 burger drop on them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would love to see, again, Georgia's the second team of mine. I told you, pops from Georgia. You feel me? So I root for Georgia secondly. And I get it, but I see their DB struggle. So
but they only got, they got 2 really good receivers, but the top one is receiver.
But see, what I think it is too is just scheme, play calling. I think it schematically had a part as well as skill.
But you got to look at Riley's little brother now coming against Georgia.
Listen, I mean, I give Hartline credit, but I think scheme is part of it too. Mm-hmm. How you stress them boys.
Ryan Day was going for it.
So that's what I'm saying. So I want to say if Sunday Night's coming in with a great scheme,
he might have a chance.
He might have a chance to not get blown out. So I'm with you. If we wrong, we wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'll just say I was right. Teachers say you stick with your first mind. Mm-hmm. I am now that. I should have told stay with my first mind, but I'm changing my answer, and I'm going with TCU covering the spread.
All right, Georgia for the win. TCU cover the spread.
Exactly.
All right, so Georgia back-to-back champs. Stetson Bennett gonna be crying.
Did we not call that at the beginning of the season?
Well,
we're not going from that. Georgia, do not mess us up now. We've been saying this all year. It is your title to lose. Let's win it. Come on, go Dogs. We're now transitioning to the NFL. We're in week 18, and we're not necessarily, like I say, picking games, giving y'all a parlay so because it's week 18. Man, it's a lot up in the air anyway with week 18, so we're not even sure how that will go, if it's going to have one or not, or if a lot of things get postponed. So we're just going to go into a playoff picture and our big surprises in the NFL. That's really the theme of the.
Look, man, I'm gonna bear the lead right now. The Rams are my biggest bad one. All right, they're a Super Bowl champ. Hey, how many games?
Hey, man, they got 5.
5 wins.
Baker Mayfield, yes, sir. That's the future.
Look, man, the Rams are proving. Look, man, I know that there's no such thing as tanking. Wink, wink.
Chicago's done that already. Stop it.
But
Houston.
If I'm the Rams, because my first round pick in I don't know how many years, because you just said F them picks.
I'm going to Detroit.
Is next year in 2024, not 2023 this year. I would wait around for Caleb Williams down the street at USC. Wink, wink, because your roster management has been poor. It wasn't just losing Von Miller, because Von Miller ain't been playing for the Buffalo Bills either, so we don't even know his impact. He's been out since what, week 4, week 5?
We know he had impact against y'all, though. Yeah. Oh, wait.
So again, you don't. We don't have Von Miller.
Right.
And you look, man, pass rushers are really, really important. But the way you handled the Cam Akers situation, the way you handled a lot of different things, your offensive line, depth, all that stuff, the Rams are the worst surprise of the offseason.
If we gonna get the worst surprise, I'm gonna give you my worst surprise. I made you read this to the audience last week. The Denver Broncos are my worst surprise. So you gave me one for the NFC. I'm gonna give you one for the AFC.
Oh man,
my man Russell Wilson got paid the bag. Plus to go 4-12. And he crying in post-game pressers because the team's sticking up for him and what have you. Woo. I get it. But Russ, dangerous. You weren't dangerous as shit. You're very minuscule. You're very, it was tough over there in Denver, man. And you see a lot of players screaming at Russ on the sideline. Judy hot, Lyman's hot. It's everything. And nobody saw this coming because why? We thought that they offensively. I mean, Javonte Williams did go down, and before that, we assumed that Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon was going to be a complimentary backfield. You had Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. That's a good stable of a 1-2.
I think that was more of, no offense, I don't mean throwing you out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was more of a you pick and not more of a me pick.
No, I'm not saying me. I'm saying that in its totality.
In its totality, I get what you're saying.
I
just didn't agree with the head coach hire to begin with.
I get it, and I know that you look at a lot of things. A lot of people don't look at everything, and everything may have an impact. Yeah. I know that you do. Yeah. So we here. We don't have this going on since August, September. Yeah. So I know you. It's just more so if you look at the roster makeup of what they had, a lot of people thought they were just that quarterback away.
That is true.
Because they have a good defense, which is a good defense still this year.
No,
that offensively didn't show. So if offensively this team showed up, it's a whole different discussion about Denver. This team could score more than 16 points a game. They can score like 24, 25 a game. We're having a different discussion about the Denver Broncos. So it's solely the offense not showing up. That's why this team is the way it is.
I hear you, and I am listening. Mm-hmm. My thing is, and it's one of those staples that I kind of hold on to, is that the NFL in competition is so close and razor thin that the coaching matters more there than it does in college. In college, talent is spread out over 114 teams, and the pros is spread out over 32.
Right.
And 114 teams on the FCS level. It's just, it matters more there. So those razor thin margins and people poo-pooing Mike Tomlin never having a losing record.
It's there. Your point is very valid.
So when I saw Paul Hackett as the coach, as opposed to the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who should have had that job. Eric Bieniemy should have had that job, or just picking someone else.
It matters.
It kind of matters. You can't just have a cup of coffee with.
No, it matters a lot.
With basically the McVay circuit of coaches, and they can have something. Or Shanahan coaches and see what happens.
I will give you an example to your point that it really does matter. And no, I'm just not just because I'm talking. You're a popular man. It's the truth.
I am definitely.
So to that point, it's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation, right? You have BA, and offense is potent. Offensive minded coach. You got him and Leftwich together. The offense is good. Last year, yeah, they exited to the LA Rams. I get it. No excuse on injuries because you lost to the same team and everybody there at the beginning of the year. So it just happened to be it was a bad play call or the call didn't get through everybody. And Cooper Kupp right in the middle, game with the field goal. It happens. But you see that offensive-minded head coach coupled with an offensive coordinator, and you see the records the previous 2 years. Come back in with Todd Bowles, a different coaching style, a defensive-minded coach. Now Tampa Bay is 8-8. Don't look like week to week. It's like if they're going to win, they're going to lose. Last week, I ain't think they were going to win. It didn't look that way. I came in the fourth quarter 21-10. Oh, we're not going to the playoffs because are we not even going to beat the Falcons at this point? And Carolina's going to win. They're in the playoffs. But Mike Evans and Tom Brady did something they didn't do all year. That was actually connect with each other. And if it happens, it happens. But that's I'm not even trying to talk about that.
Hey, no, that connection got me third place in my fantasy football league.
And so when that's something the league has to watch out. Because it opens up everything else for everybody else. And that was just something that was missing. But that's the bad surprises within, for me, is the Broncos for me, and then the Rams for you.
Yeah.
Good surprise for me. I think I flip-flop and go come to the NFC with Detroit Lions being my biggest surprise.
Yeah, that's a good surprise.
And they still in it. They're very much still in it. It's a chance. It's a chance. It may not be. Some things have to happen. But I feel like just Detroit Lions they gave up, and they traded Matt Stafford and got Jared Goff, and it didn't seem like they really replaced a lot. They put some key pieces in here and there, but I just think they played for Dan Campbell, man. Like they played for that man, and it just showed
that's a good one.
The camaraderie with that team, it was just infectious, and it just went through everybody. And like, granted, like 8-8, I get it, it's 500, but it's still we're talking about the Detroit Lions. We're talking about a team that's notoriously getting 2 to 5 wins a year in these last like 5 to 7 years.
I mean, this is the best finish Detroit will have since they fired Jim Caldwell, who won 11 games. But that's really good. Mine is actually the flip side, and I love where Detroit is going. Hopefully, they don't butcher these picks that they have from the Rams. But mine's on the flip side of what you just talked about. Seattle Seahawks.
A good surprise.
Good surprise.
Losing
Russ is still in the playoff race. They win, and the Vikings win. They get in because they'll knock out the Green Bay Packers. They will be in the playoffs, and Russ is sitting at home. And then they have 2 top 15 picks. Yeah, that right there, they can go and trade up and get. They got the number 3 pick because of the Broncos situation right now. I think they're locked in at number 3 now, if I'm not mistaken. So they got the number 3 overall pick, so they can go and get the quarterback that they want if Stroud falls that far, or they can get other pieces and just build out this team because Pete Carroll likes speed and power and maybe another tackle.
I would heavy build a team with like Gino did good with what you have, and For years.
Will Anderson at the third pick.
That's
like
what
they got really good stuff to go.
Years that y'all got so much other stuff in Seattle and never been offensive line for Russ. So I feel like give Jalen the keys for another year.
Mm-hmm.
Give Jalen the keys for another year, and build around it. Like you build more pieces. You have a staple with Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
So you give them better pieces to run behind.
Well, they picked 2 tackles.
Protect.
They've already picked 2 tackles.
So
they got 2 really young tackles. Charles Cross in the second round pick. They picked another tackle. So I can't remember his name. His name escapes me. But they did pick 2 tackles. But that was my good surprise.
You go in on the defensive side, get some more kind of make that
little shit. Make it shit. Get Tim Williams.
That's kind of same deal with Detroit. You feel me? Like, give Jared Goff the keys. Let him keep the keys. They play good. Your boy St. Brown.
Yeah, man.
Amon-Ra.
Yeah, you can get a Smith and Jigba.
You still have Jameson.
Yeah.
So you get him a leader because a lot of people don't like to give players time.
Yeah, they need
that is the problem.
Time to heal,
that's
time to
the
develop.
problem in the NFL, NBA. Like a player.
Even in college.
A player may have a good year in the NBA and may have a little slump going into it. It's the reason why it's called a sophomore slump because now you go crazy first. Nobody got film on you like that. Mm-hmm. So you take a whole offseason to scout this, that, third, and people key in on you and they can take everything that you like to do. And that's why you get that second offseason to round out your game to where nobody can take that away and you become a killer. A lot of people don't like to give these young guys time. So receiver-wise, you have Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson, Williams, I think it's the name.
I think it's Williams, yeah.
And so that's even with you gotta think about even with Georgia last year. They didn't start going crazy on Bama until Williams went down. So
yeah,
that's 3 years in a row. But it is what it is. But no, give them time. Give them young guys time and let build around and just continue to bring other pieces that matter. Don't double down on this because this person ain't pan out, this person ain't do this. When you're wasting your picks, we can fill other holes. So
yeah, man, it's been a good and fun ride in the NFL. And it's been a good and fun ride in college football. Like, I really think that we have some lessons to learn from this year, of course. And that's what we'll do, spend time on in the offseason around May. After everything's kind of settled with college football, we'll start going, looking in depth on what we're predicting for next season. Because the last signing period is over as far as the portal is concerned. I believe last 2 weeks in April, those are the last 2 weeks that people can actually transfer in and out of programs. So we'll look at in totality after that, give you some really good summer content that way you can hear about your team. But as far as National Signing Day, we'll talk about it a little bit, the second signing day, which is really not really a good signing day anymore.
It's going to be fun. I just thought about it going that far. Bro, we might go crazy in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Summertime.
No, we're going to talk about your team, and we going to know way more about your team than you do going into the season.
Me?
Yeah.
You talking about they team?
They team.
Oh,
no, we're going over everybody's team. We ain't just going over.
Don't do me like that. You don't know more about my team than I do.
Yeah.
I told you what it was this year. I'm one of the few that said that.
Hey, so but you still was going more wins than what I said.
Yeah, I did. That was the hopelessness in my my fandom. I was a hopeless romantic for 10 wins.
Oh my God.
So we gonna we definitely gonna touch them. We might even touch some Group of 5 teams.
We definitely touching on.
We got time because
we got time in the summer.
Because baseball is what's going on. Hey man, we might just do some baseball. We got the same team, so we're not really gonna argue in baseball. Yeah. We both Braves fans. So.
It's funny, he can chop doing baseball. So
I don't. I actually don't. My brother be doing it. He said, "Bro, it's the Braves." I said, "I don't care. I do not chop at all. I don't say this. The chant. It don't come out my mouth. I don't even do I don't even want to do the gesture. So I don't do it at all. I just watch the game. No, I want to go to a Braves game so bad, and I still want to talk when they turn the lights off.
We gonna go together.
We gonna go together. Listen, to my life, have I ever did the tomahawk chop, and I never will. I don't care. It's not happening. I'm not doing it.
Man, if we play y'all early enough in the season, that's gonna be a bet. We're gonna go to a Braves game.
I'm telling you, this is my first Miami official game, and I love the experience. And it's gonna be a yearly thing for me now. Like this, I'm traveling to Tallahassee next year.
Ooh, child,
I don't care.
You have a real different experience in Tallahassee.
Listen, I don't care.
Not that we're gonna treat you poorly.
No, I've been up there. I just ain't been to a Florida State atmosphere. I've been to fam and seen the fam atmosphere.
No,
I haven't been up there. I haven't seen that kind of thing. Though.
That atmosphere. My wife can tell you that was her first game was Florida State Miami when Dalvin Cook went off on y'all. Best atmosphere she's ever went.
But I took that one experience.
You're gonna love it.
For me,
we might get you to decommit.
Definitely. I'm solid in my pledge. I signed. I was a silent commit 8/10/1997. Before I even came up, they're like, yeah, 6 years old. I'm a Hurricane, baby. I was silent commit for 6 years, but now.
It's because you ain't seen other stuff.
I don't want to. I'm one of them. You know, you have your homies, homegirls that have that partner that you see so much in that caused them so much pain for so many years, and they don't go nowhere. And you tell them, come on, I've been on the other side. I don't see no bet on the other side. I'm waiting for my person to get right. And I'm waiting for my person to get right. And when they get right, oh, y'all gonna look sick. Because I told y'all heard it first, they were gonna do good. They were gonna act right and treat me better. And they gonna treat me better at some point. I'm waiting on it. I'm gonna have their time. I'm gonna stand beside. But back to my point, for me, I just like atmosphere. So I like if I travel, I look for the teams in that town to see they're in town, just so I can buy a ticket to the game. So that's for me. I just like to see different atmospheres. So just to see Kansas City Royals, stadium, it's like, oh my God, it looked like it do on a video game. Like it's so beautiful. It's beautiful. So that's really all I've really been to traveling wise was between here, Georgia, and Missouri. So
next year, me and my boys were doing the state fair with OU and Texas. That's a game that I think you should come along with.
Okay.
But Florida State at Florida State versus Miami is as big as Florida State playing UF. UF is our biggest rival, even though we have an equal amount of games against both of you guys. UF is our biggest rival. But that game, to be in that atmosphere, you're gonna love it, especially at Doak. Doak at night, you see it on TV.
Hopefully, it's good enough to be another night game. I love night games.
It's always a night game usually. I think we either get the 5 or the 7 spot.
I love
when that game comes.
Because we was bad, real bad. Still got it. Still got the night game. And so So I mean, listen, man. Again, this is the new way we are doing the Spot the Ball podcast. We're doing it live now, and again, we're going to figure out the trinkets and gadgets between this new platform to give y'all a more interactive show. And it's features here we can bring people in. So we may actually start looking into bringing people in and giving segments with other, guests, because now it's getting to that time of season where football is going to be gone soon. So to implement that slot, we may do that because we're talking NBA, which we are. But it's not going to be as extensive as we do NFL because you have in the NFL and college because it's 2 different segments. So we can substitute one for that. We definitely
gonna bring in some guests. We bring that ugly brother of yours who thought he knew more about y'all than I did. He owed me some. He need to pay up.
So again, I am your boy that loves pie, Willie Love the Third. This is my guy, the Big Baller Brand is what it is?
No. This is the Birmingham Barons. Willie Mays, say hey kid, rest in peace.
Yeah.
And this is your boy Ron Wells signing off for the Spot the Ball podcast, guys. How we go?
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all next week.
All right, so